But we begin first with the escalating Israeli-Palestinian violence as rocket attacks continue in that region and fears grow of an all-out war. This is Outnumbered. I'm Kayleigh McEnany, and here today my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Emily Compagno, former State Department spokesperson Morgan Ortagus, and in the virtual center seat, radio host and former CIA analyst Buck Sexton. In Israel, the Iron Dome is being put to the test. Dramatic video shows Israel's air defense system intercepting and shooting down a barrage of rockets. Israel says Hamas militants fired more than 1,000 rockets since the conflict began on Monday, and some of the worst violence in years to break out. The rocket fire was so reckless yesterday that the Iron Dome system seemed to be overwhelmed. Israeli forces firing back at targets in Gaza. You can see here a building imploding, leveled to the ground in that crowded city. The building was reportedly evacuated ahead of time. Meantime, smoke billowing to the sky after another rocket attack as we get new video of the rubble. And the number of deaths on both sides of this conflict continue to rise. Look, it is such a tragic situation, what is going on there. And Morgan, I want to start with you. You and I were in the Oval Office time and time again as we secured Middle East peace deals in the Trump administration. I was with you there when we got the first one with Bahrain and then the United Arab Emirates. And I was also with you in September when we were on the South Lawn of the White House celebrating this historic peace accords like we hadn't seen in a quarter of a century. And we ended up getting 4 during our time in the Trump administration. And I was been checking out your Twitter feed. And I mean, we've given them peace and they've seemed to have taken peace and turned it into absolute and utter chaos. What is going on in the Biden administration?
Yeah, Kayleigh, and they've done that in 100 days. It's tragic. Here's what happens. You know, all of this in the Middle East seems very complicated, and I actually think it doesn't need to be. It's pretty simple. Israel is one of our greatest allies in the world, if not the greatest. Iran is a state sponsor of terrorism. Hamas, who all of these rockets that you're seeing in the pictures that we're showing right now, these rockets are supplied by Iran to Hamas in the Palestinian territories. They're getting reportedly $30 million a month from Iran. So in the Trump administration, Kayleigh, as you know, we decided, you know what? We're going to reward our allies, Israel, Gulf Arab states, other Arab states, Morocco, who also made peace with Israel. We're going to reward our friends and allies, and we're going to punish our enemies. So if you're a terrorist state, and Iran is the greatest sponsor of terrorism, according to the State Department, multiple administrations. If you're a terrorist organization, you're not getting rewarded with funding. You're not getting rewarded with sanctions relief. And what did that lead to when we made those decisions early on, Kayleigh? That led to the peace that you just told the audience about that you and I viewed together in the Oval Office and on the South Lawn. Now, fast forward when you decide to come in and try to rush back into the JCPOA with Iran, negotiate with people that are still funding the terrorists that are sending these rockets into Israel. Now you see destabilization. So why is Hamas doing this right now? Why is Abbas doing this? Because they can, because they know they can get away with it, because of the language coming out of the State Department and the White House that is shameful, that is equating an ally and a friend, it is doing a moral equivalency of the actions, this both sides language. As you and I know, Kayleigh, this language is parsed very carefully. So when Hamas reads this moral equivalency language, this language saying that both sides should calm down, they know that that means that this administration is not going to do anything to stop their actions. So my prayers are with the Israeli children, the Palestinian children. You know, I have so many friends from Israel that sent me text messages and pictures holding their little babies, holding their children in bomb shelters last night as they cried at 3 o'clock in the morning, hearing the sirens and the sounds go off. My baby was fussy last night, and I'm going to end with this. I don't want to take up all the time, but my baby was very fussy last night. She was stuffy. And as I held her, Kayleigh, I know you have a baby as well. As I held her, I thought, I can't imagine trying to get her down and being in a bomb shelter right now. It is disgusting what these terrorists are doing, and there is no moral equivalency, and the Biden administration needs to stop it.
You are exactly right. That is so well said. And Buck, going to you, it's enabling the Hamas when you're enabling Iran on one hand, and also the Trump administration, they cut off funding to the Palestinians. We know the Biden administration restarted that. But on top of that, the Biden administration seems to have just not taken this seriously, where Clinton had a special Middle East peace envoy the first year. Obama had it the second day. Clinton had an Israeli-Palestinian summit the first year. Trump had his Israeli ambassador already there in the country. Under Biden, we have no Israeli ambassador. We have no envoy to the Middle East. We have no leadership. What is going on, Buck?
Well, Kayleigh, I'm really worried that this is a harbinger of things to come, not just between Israelis and Palestinians in dealing with Hamas terrorists, but as you mentioned, with Iranian provocations and quite honestly, escalations that we can expect all across the Middle East. And we can look to what happened under the Obama administration, which had a disastrous foreign policy. Just take yourself back, particularly to the second term, where the Obama foreign policy team's goal was essentially to get Iran to agree to a nuclear deal and really mortgage the rest of our interests in the Middle East. I mean, to essentially bend over backwards to get a deal. And you had obviously a lot of Iranian military activity, the IRGC operating in Syria. You had the Houthi militia in Yemen. You're going to see an Iran that knows that it has a different administration to deal with here. And that's going to result not only in this kind of violence with the Israelis, the Palestinians, but I think in broader Middle East escalation. And the Biden team is going to say, well, it's kind of our fault because Trump walked away from the nuclear deal. That's how they're going to excuse it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Buck, for our viewers, you're looking at live pictures right now of Gaza City, Gaza smoldering. This is quite a different scene, Harris, from the one that you saw when you went to Israel for the opening of the consulate in Jerusalem. This is such a difference. If you could take our viewers into where you were and what Jerusalem looked like compared to what we're seeing in Gaza City, Gaza right now.
Well, they were fighting at that time in this area, but a very different type of situation. Jerusalem Day just passed a couple of days ago. The Six-Day War, 1967, is the commemorance of that day. So this week was volatile, but not the way in which we're seeing it now. And the reasoning is so different. General Jack Keane joined me last hour, and he said, look, the Palestinian people are being let down. And I pointed out, if you have terrorists leading you and they're weak terrorists like Hamas, and they're depending on Iran to help them, then what the doctors are seeing among the Israelis who are hurt in all of this, one doctor was quoted as saying, we are now seeing explosives with more power. Now, that's an interesting thing. And, Buck, I come back to what you're saying and the interception, if you will, of or the intersection of Iran and our enemies. I mean, they are getting cozier and cozier, and it's a much more dangerous situation for us. So, Kayleigh, to pointedly answer your question, we saw a way forward in the relationship between the United States and Israel and those in the region who wanted to support Israel. We saw the beginning of those Abraham Accords that you and Morgan were in the Oval Office bringing about those deals with the president and getting the word out to the American people. We saw that play out on the ground because we were there when they moved our U.S. embassy from Tel Aviv and opened our embassy now in Jerusalem. The holy city was getting hit by rockets 48 hours ago. That was not happening 4 years ago this week. A lot is changing. And the question is the White House going to engage in a way that benefits all of America and helps our deep friend and ally Israel? Are they going to? When are they going to? And what will that look like? And one last question. What relationship do we now have through this White House and administration with Iran that impacts or infects what we do with our ally Israel?
Yeah, all very good questions. And as we watch Gaza City smoldering there, Emily, I want to play a soundbite for you for how White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, here's how she's reacting.
We believe Palestinians and Israelis deserve equal measures of freedom, security, dignity, and prosperity, and U.S. officials in recent weeks have spoken candidly with Israeli officials about how evictions of Palestinian families who have lived for years, sometimes decades, in their homes, and of demolitions of these homes work against our common interests in achieving a solution to the conflict.
So as the White House press secretary is essentially blaming Israel, here is what is happening. In addition to those images, let's pull up this tweet from Israel Defense Forces. I saw this yesterday. It was jarring. They said every red dot marks sirens in Israel over the last 30 minutes. Israel is under attack. And what is the White House doing? Equivocating, just as Morgan said. Emily, over to you.
That's exactly right. And that somehow is feeding into the narrative that Israel somehow, quote, provoked and somehow, quote, deserves the wrath of Hamas. I'd actually like to cede my time to Morgan and have her explain for viewers the intersection and the difference between Hamas as a terrorist organization versus Israel, which is a state, and why we are receiving such a different narrative, such a mixed message from, for example, so many Congress members like Rashida Tlaib and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, somehow equating the two as one and the same, as equal players on the international playing front. Morgan.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the bottom line is Hamas is a designated foreign terrorist organization by the State Department. Israel is our ally. You know, we heard a lot of criticism of the Trump administration that somehow we were supposedly, questioning our alliances and not working well with our allies, which was hogwash. And that is what we are actually potentially seeing here. There was a strong statement by Nancy Pelosi and others in the Democrat Party, so I will give her credit for that. But what you look at the loudest voices of Rashida Tlaib and others, what Bernie Sanders, what they are saying is they are essentially siding with a terrorist organization that is attacking our ally. That is the definition of not standing by your alliances, your allies, your friends, and it is dangerous. And we will see violence throughout the Middle East if this policy continues.